Yes, so good evening, everyone. And today we continue the second edition of our book Bytes. Last time we dealt with chapter 1 and 2. This time we take chapter 3 and 5 from the book, same book, that is Wise Animals, How Technology Has Made Us What We Are. And today the chapters that we'll be dealing with are Love and Learning and Consciousness as Controlled Hallucination. We have a very dynamic young person to present these two chapters to us today. Joseph Daniel, who's a student at Satyanilayam and very vibrant and very curious and at the same time a very energetic personality. So he will first and foremost give a kind of a summary of the chapters, that is chapter 3 and 5. And towards the end of his presentation, he will also pose a few questions which we can then reflect upon and we can begin our discussion on that. So, welcome, Joseph, and over to you.
Thank you for that. Sir, am I audible?
Yes.
So, good evening, friends. Good evening, fathers. So, I'm very happy to take up the chapter 3 and 5 from Wise Animal by Tom Chatfield. So, let us straight away enter into the chapter 3. So, the chapter 3, which I love more, is Love and Learning, the Delusion of Brutality. Love and learning is one part, and the delusion of brutality is another part, as the title itself mentions. So, the author in this chapter dwells into the intricacies of human evolution, focusing on how love, cooperation, and long childhoods have played a crucial role in our survival and development. So, this chapter, the author wants to emphasize on love, cooperation, and the long childhoods that we human beings have comparing to other species on the earth. While we often highlight technological advancement and intellectual achievements, the author argues that our emotional and social capacities are equally significant. So, when we boast of our history, saying the technology advancement and intellectual achievements, it is very important to say the very essence, the basic, which paves the way for advancements is the love, cooperation, and the long childhoods. So this is what the whole chapter is about. The author wants to bring to the notice where the history forgets to emphasize on these capacities that we human beings have. So human vulnerability and technology ingenuity. Humans are unique among hominins for their prolonged childhoods and dependence on others. As I said before, so comparing to other species, other animals, we human beings have prolonged childhoods and dependence on others. This vulnerability necessitated a high level of care and cooperation, fostering deep emotional bonds and complex social structures. So this prolonged childhood, this long childhood, which gives us a deep emotional bonds, it teaches us. And the complex societal structures, the structure that we have in our society. So our capacity for love and empathy, extending beyond immediate family to larger kinship networks, has been fundamental to our success as a species. The love that we have, the empathy that we create, that we have, that has been fed from the childhood onwards, is not only for our family, it is not only for our relatives, it is beyond, it is over the world. So the childhood and the change, the next topic is children with their extended period of development and neuroplasticity drive human adaptability and innovation. Children, we know when we see the children, they're very active. They pick up very quickly. The technology, the mobile, the laptop, whatever is, it's very difficult for the old people to learn rather than the children that we have. They pick up very easily because of neuroplasticity. The, unlike other mammals, human offspring require significant nurturing, which has encouraged technological innovations such as baby slings. The baby sling is that we see in the picture in the PPT itself. The love, whatever the innovation, whatever the technology that we invent, that we go forward with our own ideas, it's only because of love that we have innermost. These tools allowed for larger brain growth post-birth, illustrating the intertwined evolution of biology and technology. So biology and technology, they are intertwined because of the love that we go for technology and whatever that we have right now. So the communal care and knowledge transmission. So here the author wants to give more emphasis on the communal care because it is not only it is not only the relatives, it is not only the parents only grow the children. It is apart from that. Human child rearing involves extensive cooperation, extending to non-kin and post-reproductive adults. The old citizen, the old people that we have in our family, and the neighbor, the friends, and everyone, they are giving lessons to the children. They learn quickly from them. This communal approach has been vital for our cultural transmission and technological progress. Yes, this culture, what we have now at present, is given to the children, and they learn very quickly, and they comprehend and they acquire the knowledge, and they go beyond our capacity and our technology that we have present. They go beyond our technology. The care and the teaching provided by the older generations ensure the preservation and advancement of knowledge, skills, and cultural practices. Just now I said it. Love as a driving force. So this is the main part, the profound meaning that this chapter whole along come with. The text emphasizes that love and cooperation are central to human history and evolution, which the history, whenever we boast of our technology advancement and whatever we achieved, we forget to think the love that we have. It is because of love we invent many things. It is because of the care that we have for one another. The technology grows gradually. When we take the field of hospital, when we take the field of the technology, the advancement that we have, whatever we have in our hands now, it is only because of love. These qualities have enabled humans to form complex societies and achieve remarkable technological and cultural advancements. Narratives focusing solely on conflict and competition fail to capture the essence of what makes us human. Children as innovators. As I said before, children are portrayed as a research and development department of humanity, exploring and innovating while adults implement their discoveries. So the children, they learn very quickly because of the neuroplasticity, and they conquer whatever we know at the present. They come to know and they go beyond us, and they innovate, they explore, they innovate many things. And the work of the adults is to implement in the right place. This dynamic interplay between generations has been crucial for the species survival and growth. Revising inflationary narratives. The author critiques the portrayal of evolution as a story of relentless brutality, advocating for recognition of the fundamental role of love, cooperation, and empathy. These three words, love, cooperation, care, empathy, and other, these are the emotions that we have. The author wants to give more importance to these terms rather than the technology advancement we have, because it's the first that love we have, therefore the technology comes. This is the whole theme runs through the chapter. These qualities have shaped human history and continue to be our greatest strength. So when the author wants to conclude this chapter, he comes to the cooperation. That is the humanity's superpower. We also know unity, which unity is a very good one, and without unity we are not able to. The text concludes by highlighting cooperating as the key to solving global challenges as thriving as a species. While our capacity for cooperation can lead to both great achievements and social tensions, yes, the cooperation, there's a misunderstanding and there's a conflict. There's divided goals we have. But though we have these things, but the achievements that we have, it is all because of the cooperation that we human being have. It remains our most significant evolutionary advantage. This narrative challenges conventional view of human evolution, urging us to appreciate the profound impact of love and learning on our past, present, and future. So the author wants us to get rid of the conventional view, what are the traditional view that we have on human evolution, war, conflict, and whatever we have. Focus on the profound impact of love and learning that we have, which we can learn from our past, present, and plan it for the future that we don't do it again. So this is the end of the third chapter. Now we are entering into the fifth chapter, consciousness as controlled hallucination, that is the delusion of literal mindedness. The controlled hallucination is something that is not there, but we think that is there. That's a hallucination. Controlled hallucination means the consciousnness that we have, the being aware of the things, though it is not the what we see from the world, though it is not the accurate that we perceive from ourselves, it's not accurate things. But on the consciousness, our mind aligns with the nature, aligns with the reality. The delusion of literal mindedness is we believe the false belief that we have, whatever we see on the earth is the reality that we perceive the reality of the world. That is the false belief that we have. So, perception and illusion. The beginning of the chapter itself, the author wants to say about the Muller layer optical illusion that we have learned during our childhoods in the educational in the books we have learned. When we see the two lines, that is right hand side of the PPT, the first one seems bigger, the second one seems small. But the truth is, both are same in lengthwise. When you cut off the both end, the both mark that we have from the two lines, the both lines are equally, yeah, both lines are equal. So, despite knowing the truth, our brain continues to perceive things incorrectly, illustrating the gap between reality and perception. We know that we have, but it continues to have this illusion. Consciousness as controlled hallucination. Anil's idea of consciousness is explored, emphasizing that we perceive is not a direct reflection of reality, but a controlled hallucination. So, whatever we get from the world, whatever we perceive from the world, is not the real one. It is a controlled, it's organized. It is organized by the mind. Our brain is constantly predicting and interpreting the sensory inputs. It is predicting. When we see people, we don't know what they are thinking itself, but we predict. Yes, he is feeling this one, he is feeling this. This is the brain, the work of the brain because of the experience from the past. And it predicts the things, creating a mental model of the world rather than the transparent window into reality. We don't see the world really what is there. The predictive brain. Perception is described as a top down process where the brain predicts the causes of sensory inputs rather than simply reacting to them. This predictive nature of the brain helps us navigate the world efficiently. So, this predictive nature, it is not a negative one, it is a very good one. Though sometimes we fail, but most of the time it navigates the world efficiently, even if it means that our perceptions are not entirely accurate. We know it is not entirely accurate, but even we go with the same kind of thought. Utility over truth in evolution. Utility means the well being. So, what our mind wants, this chapter discusses how evolution has shaped our perception to prioritize survival over truth. So, it is not the truth that our mind wants, it's not the truth that we want, it is survival. So therefore, whatever the mind perceives from the world, whatever it sees, it prioritizes. It is not truth, it is survival, the human survival, the human species has to survive for a long time. Our senses have evolved to provide us provide us with useful information for survival, not to give us an accurate picture of reality. The illusion of literal mindedness. So, this illusion we have to understand where the author wants to bring us to our notice. The idea of perception as a straightforward process is challenged. We do not really have the we do not really see the world as it is. The chapter argues that believing in a literal interpretation of the mind's process, like a mini me inside our head controlling everything, is a delusion that oversimplifies the complexity of human consciousness. The mini me is something which is like me, someone is sitting in my brain and getting the facts through our senses, and it decides and it comes to the conclusion. It is not like that. It is evolution from the beginning. Our mind, it does not want that. It is not over the truth. It gets the well-being of the human beings. So it is the consciousness that organizes the facts that whatever it sees from the world. So technology and perception. The chapter explores how technology influences and extends our perception using example like video playback and ability to observe distant galaxies. So the technology also helps us to perceive things that we can see the galaxies, stars and moons, and we can predict it. It is not though it is not accurate, but it aligns with the reality. Therefore, we are able to send the satellites, we are able to send the rockets. Technology, like our senses, creates illusion that help us understanding and interact with the world. The dynamic divided self. The concept of self is examined, drawing on David Hume's idea that the self is not a single unified entity. Self is not a single unified entity. It's a collection of perception and experiences. It has a lot of experiences. It has seen, so it has experienced many things. The self is seen as a process, a bundle of mental events that creates the illusion of a singular identity. The ego trip. Julian Baggini, the concept of the ego trip is introduced, explaining how the brain creates a coherent sense of self from a complex and divided mental process. There is no single part of the brain that houses the self. Rather, it is a result of various mental process working together. It is like the mini me. What we say, no, what myself, like myself, somebody is there sitting in my mind and processing everything. No, not like that. It is every part of the brain. It is every part of the experiences and perceptions. They come together, they work, and they align with the nature. They align with the reality. Illusion versus delusion. So the chapter distinguishes between illusions and illusion. Illusions means perceptional perpetual inaccuracies, perceptual inaccuracies, and delusion means false belief. It emphasizes that while we are always perceiving the world through illusions, understanding and correcting these illusions is crucial for a coherent and functional perception of reality. So having delusion is a false belief, but illusion which we can correct ourselves. We have to correct. uh, we have to correct ourselves slowly and gradually, which we can come closer to the reality. But ultimately, we cannot attain that due to our limited senses. But we can come to the reality, very close to the reality, which will help us navigate our well-being. The conclusion of this chapter is perception and reality. The chapter concludes by reflecting on how our perception are shaped by both internal process and external influences, including technology. Understanding the nature of these controlled hallucinations can help us navigate the world more effectively, even if we can never fully grasp the reality in its true form, as I said earlier. So now let us spend some time asking this question. It is this question from chapter 3. How does the interplay between childhood development and technological innovation shape the future of human societies? In what ways might emphasizing love, cooperation, and empathy in our understanding of human evolution change our approach to current global challenges. This is unit from 5. How does the idea of consciousness as a controlled hallucination is organized one change your understanding of reality and the way you perceive the world? In what ways do you think the evolutionary priority of utility over the truth, the well being over the truth, has influenced modern human behavior, and how might this impact our relationship with technology? So, with this question, I will end my presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Joseph, for that wonderful, brief, precise presentation where you highlighted the main points from the chapter. At the same time, you also gave us a few questions to reflect on to initiate this discussion. So now the floor is open. So those who would like to maybe respond to those questions can begin, or those who want to add something else can also begin, ask some clarifications, etc. I think I'll begin by just highlighting a few things which I felt from the first question, that connection you made between the children and the technological advancements. Because in the chapter also we see that the author highlights in chapter 3 children as innovators because of their playfulness, because of their creativity, and therefore they being the center to development of various things. So we see that the curiosity that they have, that same curiosity plays a very important role when it comes to any developments, when it comes to any discoveries. And therefore we see that also culture at the same time plays a very important role when it comes to transmission as well as continuity, so ensuring the survival and evolution of certain practices.
Yusuf, are you speaking?
Yeah, Valley, can.
I thought that Joseph was trying to speak in between some disconnection seems to be.
No, no, no.
Okay.
Okay, so others can also put in their opinions. Vexter, would you like to add some few things here to the discussion?
I have one particular thing in mind.
Yes.
So, uh, the main discussion was like how brain is trying its level best to understand certain things based on instinct. Like one example he gave was the short line and the long line. So the mind is basically, or the brain is basically trying to bring in the aspect that well, if the lines are equal, but what is happening is the mind is tricked into believing that one is long and one is short. So my question is, see, even after having known this as a truth, why does our brain still go to the same notion of why it is long and short, even after knowing the truth?
So that in that one author from chapter 5 in the beginning slide, if you see that one, the Underlies experiment, he gives very clearly why it is doing the same thing, because it is our limited senses, because of our limited senses. When we see that both lines, no, if you could have noticed, one will be seeming bigger, another one is like small one, but in the truth it is not small and big, both are at length, they are equally same, but still our perception, when we see suddenly, it says this is one, this is small. So this is our limitation. So understanding this, that we can reducing the illusions, we can go near to the reality. But the author argues we cannot go, never we can attain the reality, but we can still we can go to the reality that will navigate our future and the world also. This may be, I think so, correct answer.
Yeah, Joseph, just to add to that, maybe, can we consider it similar to something what all of us may have experienced in childhood, like, na? So, for example, if we saw a long container, okay, and if there were the kind of a broad one, is a very long and tall container, and the other one is a short and broad one. So both of them hold the same volume of water, 200 ml.
Yes.
But then we feel that the one which is long does
Yes.
have, is it similar to that, this
Yes, yes,
illusion?
it is like that. Yes, yes, it is like that. It is our brain that believes like that.
Okay, thank you.
And I have a question, though I have prepared this. I have a question from the chapter 3 one.
Okay.
The chapter 3 says everything, the technology and the advancement, whatever we have, is a basic because of the love, and what because of the love that it comes to existence. The technology what we have, but when I see the present world, but I don't think so. It is because of love everything comes. I think so. Most of the things because of what to say, uh, the vengeance, and they create using the when we see the countries happening the wars, no. So I don't think so. It's because of love the technology grows. I think so. It is taking change, or I don't know. So there I feel some contradiction with the author. I feel.
Actually, just to add to that, in a way, we see that what drives us is, in a way, survival, right? So ultimately, at least I believe that it is our kind of instinct to survive which in a way drives us to become innovative. Let's take, for example, the pandemic situation, right? So it was that very urge to survive, it was that very urge to exist, which made us go beyond. But in the chapter, we see that towards the end, when he speaks about that
Cooperation.
history and evolutionary science, in the way, tends to underplay the importance of love and nurture, because we see that more importance is kind of given to aggression and conflict. So therefore that kind of distorts our understanding of human nature. So that means, I mean, even in the common world, we see that these qualities of tend to be pushed aside, since we live in a kind of an ultra competitive
Yes.
world. We are always, aggressive, always competitive, and all these qualities of love, nurture, compassion, all tends to be pushed onto the
Mm.
sideline, tend to be sideline. And yeah, so in a way I also kind of in a way echo the same sentiments that you have with regards to
Mm.
this. Rudolph, would you, yeah, Valley, yeah, begin.
Is Rudolph coming?
No, you begin, Valley.
No. Okay. Okay.
You begin. Right?
Yeah.
I'll come next.
Rudolph, you said something?
No, you begin. You
Okay.
begin, Father.
Okay. Thanks. Um, Reading this chapter was something. Thank you, first of all, Joseph, for presenting in a very nutshell. It's not easy to put this chapter, especially third chapter, in a very small way, but you have done it very well. When I read that one, a lot of insights this chapter has. One of the things, as you mentioned, children are the R&D of the human species, research and development. On the face of it, it looks like what is he saying? busy talking like we are experimenting with children. Something that struck me, what we have done in the last month, we were talking about digital natives and digital migrants. Because Lindsay gave the example of how pandemic helped us immediately come into new things, what we had not thought of. But what I would like to bring in again is this digital natives and digital migrants. Uh, Now, though it is most of us who are, say, about 25 or 30, uh, during our lifetime, lot of this innovations came, mobile and smartphone and touch screen, particularly. Now, for most of us and elderly people, the smartphone is something new, something that has come. Our fingers don't work that fast. But if you take a 1-year-old child, it seems as though the child is born with a mobile. The ease the child is, I don't know, adapts or already into it. The way they handle mobile, smartphone is really mind-boggling. How they are able to. Sometimes I think maybe because of their small fingers, very flexible. But I think what Chatfield is saying here is it is the children either as a playfulness or they are the ones really into technological thing because as though it is natural to them for children. For us, it is not natural. We, in a way, have to put ourselves into it. Anything for survival, newness, novelty, and whatever comes, I think is that's where children seems to be the carriers or advances of everything. It begins with playfulness, of course, but that's how I think their brain, in a way, adapts faster than we adapt to technology. That's the comment I want to make. Maybe others can comment to think in different ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Valley. Rudolph, you can.
Hello, hello.
Yeah. We can hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, one thing which I found very interesting was the fifth chapter, which spoke about, which speaks a lot on reality, on what is reality. So it made me question about reality. One thing was the same experiment which he presented about the two arrows. It's I have been seeing that image for many years now, and I know it's an optical illusion, but still I can't help looking at it as one big and the other one small. Even though I know for so many years I have been knowing that, but still I can't help myself looking at it as different of different lens. So this really made me question whether whatever I'm seeing is it believable, or is it the reality what is there, or is it something beyond? One thing, yeah, and also I think all the modern sciences, their whatever their findings are, somehow resonates with Indian philosophy so much, because they speak about reality of perceptions and what are the valid sources of knowledge. And yeah, and now the sciences are telling that we are just we are not looking at the entire reality. It is just a game of neurotransmitters in our brains, and yeah, and this, and there is also one more thing which I found interesting, and it is about um, not being yeah, it tells that we have some kind of unity in our brains, even though there are so many experiences, it's all disconnected, but still there is a unity. But the text denies that there is somebody called me within me who is looking out, who is looking at the experiences and having perceptions. Somehow it's very difficult to accept this fact that I am not a single human being, or I am not the one who is looking at the things. it's just disconnected things. There is no me within my brain. So it's somehow very difficult to digest this fact. And also, when we look at Indian philosophy, they say that there is a self, an overseer, which looks at everything, even the mind. So I don't know how we can reconcile these things. Even the phenomenologists say that there is stream of consciousness, a continuation of the experiences or whatever is being presented to our consciousness. So somehow there is a little uh, confusion between, or confusion in the sense a little difficult to digest this fact that there is no me within my brain. So that is
Yeah, thank you, Rudolph. Thompson, would you like to add something?
Yeah, Father, I don't have any printers.
Okay. Then you have Jones.
Actually, listening to Joseph was really a very different experience for me. First time I'm listening to this talk, very elaborated talk, but it was very simple. So, really, congratulations to Joseph. And about the controlled consciousness, I have gained some insights, and a little bit I want to work on it. Still, I haven't completely understood this thing, but he was able to comprehend and he was able to separate certain things. So that's what I could find. I need still some more time, but I am really happy listening to Joseph and your Father Valley and also your reflections. Thank you.
Excuse me, Father.
Yes. Yeah. Continue.
I would like to share my insights.
Yep.
First of all, I would like to thank Joseph for this exposition, and it was really enriching. I would like to share some of my insights from chapter 3, that is love and learning. I was just thinking for some time how children have played an important role in advancement. I feel after reading this chapter, their role is something significant actually. And in particular, if I have to speak of this third chapter, I remember the research and development department of the human species that this chapter speaks. It particularly signifies something that the children are the research and development department, and they act as people who discover something, and we as adults implement them. This was something unique for me to read and understand that today children are getting on this role of being advanced, and they're trying to do some discoveries. And whatever simple acts they do is something discovery for them, which we as adults don't realize. We just ignore it as simple acts or something they are trying to grapple with themselves. But for themselves, it is a discovery. And that discovery leads to something new for them. And this is the division that I find that children taking this path of discoveries, and we as adults try to implement this. One of the insights is this. And one more insight, what I find is we've got many cultures, we have got many things which is existing from millennium. But what makes it keep going, or what is the strategy for its survival is love, nurture, and learning. I find this as very insightful because I don't think after reading this chapter until this I was thinking that some great innovations or some great learnings are the key sources with which we try to sustain our culture, and with which we try to flourish those cultures that is existing from ancient period. But sometimes to put these virtues, love, nurture, and learning, I think that these are very significant for its sustenance is a new insight for me. And these are some of the things that I learned from this chapter. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. just to take the conversation a bit further. Now, in chapter 3, okay, I also, there was this whole point towards the end where we come about the importance of human vulnerability and interdependency. So the author tends to suggest that these qualities, that is especially human vulnerability, is not to be seen as a weakness but as a strength that drives human progress. So, as I was kind of reflecting on that, so basically, when you take a look at various examples, so one of the examples that basically came to my mind is when we reveal our genuine selves. So, for example, if there is somebody who is leading a team, and if that leader kinds of, in a way, is able to show his authentic self, showing his vulnerability and also accepting his weaknesses, etc., that person is one who can get the trust from others and also is a person who is quite authentic. And secondly, also we see that this vulnerability has also been a reason for getting people together, because you know that you are not, in a way, able to do everything by yourself. The whole question of connections, collaboration comes in, and this also in a way has been influential in driving forward human society and also technology and various advancements that we have.
Just like to add another point based on what we just said about vulnerability and how human limitations is sometimes seen as a weakness. Now, what happens is, I believe that, see, most of the people are not very much inclined to show their vulnerability or to show their bad side. Now, if I really analyze how it is happening, is I would rather suggest that we have an evolutionary backup for this, meaning to say that, say, we don't like to show our bad side because if we show it, then we may not be able to be with the people, or people may simply reject it. See, according to the nature's law, if we see the nature, see, nature is very ruthless in the sense like, see, for example, in the sea, if a fish dies, the natural process of the sea is to eliminate the fish. It will just throw out of the, and many other examples of such, we see that if the nature or if the thing that is in the nature cannot survive, it is just eliminated. So our natural inclination as human beings also is, we are supposed to show ourselves as strong. If we show our bad side, what happens is we are just eliminated. And because of that, I believe that our brain or mind has connected this defense mechanism to wear these masks so that people don't see our, what we call, the bad side. So in a way, today's world, I think it's supposed to be that our authentic self is supposed to be seen. Because see, that threat is not real before the threat was real. So I believe we should be able to see our vulnerability as a source of strength so that we can overcome it. So that's my viewpoint.
And I was struck by the thought of Rudolph. The same feeling and the same question I also asked at the beginning when I was reading the text, the mini me. Because always I feel somebody is there, somebody to decide my seeing all things, getting the factors through the senses, and it decides something inside. So the author, when I went little more down, the author says the bundle. They use the word bundle of experiences. So here comes the clarity. So the author says when you take the all the experiences, for example, when I touch the fire, it hurts me. So that is own experience. So when it happens again, when I see the fire, I will not touch because of that. That experience gives me the decision, the idea, whatever may be. Therefore, there are so many experiences we are having. So these experiences should not be put as a bundle. So this bundle, when we put these experiences as a bundle, so together one thing, then the illusion comes. The minimum is there, and it is deciding. No, these are all separated experiences. We are collective. We are not single unity. So it's a collective experiences that we have. It's because of that experience. Each decision that we take, it is from the each experience that we have when we walk, whatever the gravity, whatever we see, is each experiences that we have in our life. That was I understood when I went through the texts.
Just to take the uh, take your point further, I think the feeling that hello, can you hear?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
The feeling that, as you said, we should not take it as a bundle of experiences. Actually, I feel the contrary. I think we have to think that we are all bundles. We are not separated. We are not separated experiences. Because just imagine what will happen if I don't have a kind of sense of unity within me, that I'm not a single person. One thing is, we will not be morally responsible. Okay, that will go for morality and so on. I don't have a purpose in life. I will not think of anything else. I'll think of these experiences and forget about the past experience or next experience. So one thing is, we can't forget all our past experiences, or we can't deny that we had those experiences. Somehow we are all conditioned by them. I think what the recent science tells us is, all these systems are all interconnected. It's not just a linear separated processes, but it's just feedback loops, memories, emotions, the bringing to the consciousness. Then again, it will there is some kind of feedback loops, and I think it is what is making us think that we are one entity. And I think it is very necessary that we should have these experiences of us being one, that we are all a bundle of emotions, bundle of perceptions, not emotions, perceptions. He says, the Hume says. I think Valley can explain it more on this.
and listen to the second year experts at the moment. Okay. Maybe a word in that, though my mind was thinking more still in chapter 3, maybe a word. If you see the chapter itself, it's quite interesting. Chapter 5, uh, whether it's a delusion. When I read that somewhere, he mentions, let me go for the chapter here. Yeah. Consciousness as controlled hallucination. That's a very bold statement. Hallucination, which has a very negative connotation. Somewhere he even says we hallucinate all the time, reality. But he also brings in this constant tension between this flux and need for a permanence. Same earlier you mentioned about this uh, uh, delusions of line being short or long, or Lindsay mentioned about the volume of water because of a different containers. Reality is all the time there seems to be a tension between this consciousness, what I am, and what is the reality outside. And Hume and all have gone into a different human understanding, into a different, whether it is Hume or Berkeley, what perception itself, probably that's too much to go into now. But what we can really think of is, what is this consciousness? Human consciousness, not that other animals or primates don't have consciousness, but our consciousness seems to be very different. Of course, we can, in a way, put it as a self-consciousness. We know that we know. We are aware that we are aware. But what does that mean actually? Is it we are constantly adding up as a bundle of perceptions, uh, whether it is cumulative or whether it is constantly what you call one after the other series. Both are, there are different opinions about that. Is my consciousness series of photographic images, like when you are putting a one photo, earlier days film is nothing but is a photos run in a reel in a cluster group. That makes this movement. Is my consciousness, is my understanding of person, it's a series of impressions carried on, or is it a cumulatively added on? But probably some of the second year probably will remember with the Beg song. As we are moving on, there's something we leave behind, something we add upon. That kind of a flow, this consciousness of flow. These are the questions. Probably we don't have a very conclusive opinions about it, but something to good to think about this. And he touches upon that aspect. Maybe in the following chapters it becomes more clear, but here he has raised that question. One of the another bold statement, let's say if I can continue.
Yes, surely.
Yeah. One of the bold statements he made in chapter 3 is somewhere the primitive people is talking about the cave paintings, one of the painting of the child, what you call the and paintings of just hand imprints. He says these primitive people whom he calls the 15,000-year-old, 15,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, we call them primitive. His question is, are they really primitive in the sense what we talk? He makes a statement, the emotionally, intellectually, and communally, they were far superior than us, than what we are today. That's something to really ponder upon in the sense that means all these studies in philosophy, particularly psychology, have we added something to what we are already? Or these innovation studies, discoveries are only discovering what was already there with regard to our emotional, intellectual, and communal things. Because that chapter is about love, and there another statement he makes, a claim he makes is love is nothing but cooperation for our survival. Talking about all those things, how we are sexually different from other animals, like this menstruation cycle for our continuation of the species, and even love aspect. All these things seems to be, we are very different from other animals evolutionally. So in this sense, have we really grown emotionally, intellectually, communally over the 15, 20,000 years? Or have we now, because of technology, we have discovered what was already there? That's a question for me. Maybe others can add some points. In this sense also, of course, I'm sure all of us here are Christians, Catholics, talking about Jesus' time, 2000 years. Have we made any progress in our emotional, intellectual, and communal ways? Let's forget about those 20,000, 15,000. Since 2000 years, have we made any uh, progress in this aspect of us? Or are we dealing with the same questions which the disciples, which Jesus were discussing, what we read in the Gospels? Because that's what every homily or every mass we are trying to, when we listen, we are in a way trying to interpret. Is it very different from what the disciples were, what the whole, say, Jesus' time was, or the gospel time was, and our time now in this regard? Of course, technologically, yes, we have made a huge advancement in the technology, but in other aspects of human evolution, have we made much progress, say, for the last 2000 years? That's my question.
Just to Just to answer that, Valley, I feel uh, all these existential questions which were there, I think they remain the same. All the problems, or the emotional problems, or all the social challenges whichever they were facing, I think they all remain the same. Only the thing which we have now is various perspectives, or various different kinds of answer which we can find, which they lack. They had, or perhaps only the scriptures or God to answer, or for the Greeks only the philosophy, reason to answer. But today we find so many things, so we can I think we can answer it very differently according to what I what vibrates with me. I can follow existentialists, or I can follow the Bible or the teachings of the church, or you can do the process philosophy, thinking that yeah, everything is changing. And so I think the variety of the options for answering those questions, existential questions, I think they are multiplied, and it's because of the addition of knowledge of so many of millennia of uh, pursuits in the knowledge endeavor. So I think that is that is definitely a progress.
Yeah, just to also add to that, uh, what I feel is that even though there have been advancements, but the basic human kind of construct remains the same. So the problems, we may have found different solutions, but even then that level of satisfaction remains, or that unsatisfaction remains the same, because we are always in search of more. So even though we progress, we are still not happy. We still have those things that we wish we could have had it better. I think that is something which will continue to plague us, just because it is part of our very kind of DNA, I could say.
Yeah, to add this, just to corroborate this, this Yuval Harari speaks a lot on this, especially in the first chapters of Homo Deus, that we have made so much of progress, but still the same drives we have, drive for happiness, and for long life, and all these things. Even though people were dying of wars and other things earlier, now we are dying more, and unhappiness is still there. Unhappiness has increased. I think he gives a lot of insights on these things in the first chapters of Homo Deus. So I think we can find some answers to these questions in those first chapters.
Yeah, because even for example, in the past we had a few options and the choices were limited, so we were okay with it. Now there are so many choices that if we take one choice, we still think that wouldn't the other choice have been better, have I made a mistake? So there's too much of thing going around. So in that way, yes, I agree with what you have said.
I think basically the old proverbs that says that the grass is always greener on the other side. I think it applies to most of what we are discussing. So, so we don't have a particular absolute perspective, but we have a relativist mindset.
Yes. Yes, Vector. Thank you. So, friends, we come to an end of another very enriching session of Book Bytes. First and foremost, I would like to thank Joseph Daniel for helping us to, get started with this discussion by presenting very elaborately the points and making this chapter very clear to us. Friends, a small request before we can end. I would request you to all turn on your cameras so we can have a small kind of a group photo virtually. And
You don't have to put powder, Joseph. We'll touch up virtually.
okay, so yes, thank you. Yeah, so dear friends, once again, thank you for participating in this book bites. Now, just for your information, on the 27th and the 28th of this month, we have another two online forums. That is, on the 27th, we have Wisdom Waves, where we take in one topic and then we use some philosophical method. So, this time we'll be using the analytical method, analyzing the situation and then trying to find a solution. And we'll also have the Via. So, we'll keep you posted about this and we look forward to your participation. So, once again, thank you and have a very good evening.